Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be going over and showing you how to install the Tekonsha T-One Wiring Harness here on a 2020 Hyundai Santa Fe. So this is what our trailer connector is going to look like installed. As you can see here, we have a very clean finished installation look. Now granted, this may vary a little bit depending on what trailer hitch you have. And the reason I say this, because if you have the factory trailer hitch, there's actually a built-in 4-pole mounting bracket on there that we secured the trailer connector to. Now, some aftermarket options also have this built-in trailer connector, but if you don't have a built-in trailer connector on your trailer hitch, not to worry, there's a series of 2 brackets you can purchase to attach it to the hitch tube. So we're going to get a nice integrated dust cap here with our trailer connector, and basically we're going to use this to cover the pins each time we're not towing. We want to make sure that we don't get any water or debris in there, which could potentially cause trailer lighting issues. So you just want to make sure each time you get done towing, you'd simply just reinstall the dust cap to ensure you don't have any issues down the road. So this particular kit here is going to provide us with a 4-way trailer connector that has all the running light and the stop and turn signal circuits. So I will say the 4-way is going to be the most common type of trailer connector for all our small to medium sized trailers. Now, there are some larger trailers on the market. Most of them have electric brakes, in which case you'd actually need a 7-way. And we do actually have some great options to convert this 4-way to a 7-way if that's what your trailer has. In fact, we'll be installing one of those on this vehicle if you'd like to check that out. So there's actually a few trailer wiring harness options for this vehicle. The Tekonsha one we have installed here is probably going to be your best option. It's definitely our most popular one. And the reason I say this is Tekonsha seems to be a little bit more of a reliable brand. The converter box that they use, we'll go over that a little bit later, but essentially the potting material they use inside that converter box, it keeps everything nice and sound. So the wires going up in there and how they attach to the circuit board, it's going to be a nice, secure, tight connection, which is going to give you the best reliability down the road. So what that converter box actually does, sometimes referred to as a module light. So usually it does a couple different things. If your vehicle has separate taillights, it combines them into one circuit, which we need for most trailers here in the US. And what it also does is, it's going to pull power from the vehicle's battery. Therefore, we're not pulling power for the trailer lights from the vehicle lights, because that can create issues, especially on a lot of newer vehicles. The circuits just simply aren't rated for that. But with the module light here, we're not going to have those issues at all. We don't also have to worry about any issues with the trailer lights carrying over and affecting our vehicle. So in regards to installation, it really doesn't get much more simpler than this. We have to remove one panel here under the vehicle. It's only held in place with a few fasteners, and then that's going to reveal the access location to our factory tow package wiring, and we'll just simply plug our harness into that. It's going to be a completely plug-and-play installation, so definitely something I think you guys can do at home by yourself. So the first step of our install, we need to go ahead and locate the factory tow package port wiring harness. Now on this particular vehicle, it's going to be located over here on the driver's side, behind our rear wheel, underneath the vehicle. So we're going to have this little appearance panel, it's going to be covering that. So we need to go ahead and remove it first so we can access that wiring. So in order to move this panel here, we're going to have a few different fasteners. The first ones we'll be removing are these push pin fasteners here. You can see we have a couple on the outside edges of this panel. They're pretty easy to remove. We're just going to take either a Phillips head or a flathead screwdriver or a trim panel tool. We're going to pry the center section of that out, and then we're going to pull down, and it should remove the fastener entirely. So as we said, we got a couple more of these we need to get out. So now we're going to have 2 plastic nuts up top here. We'll remove those with a 14mm socket. It shouldn't be on there very tight. You should just be able to do it by hand. And if I recall, they don't actually come out completely. They'll still be attached to the panel. And we should just be able to pull it the rest of the way off and set it aside. So once we remove that panel, we should be able to pretty clearly see our factory tow package port. We actually have a cover or a plug on the end of this that we need to remove. So there's going to be a tab on the front here. Simply depress that and pull it out. Here's what that cover looks like. So now that we have the plug off the factory tow package port, we can actually go ahead and take our wiring harness and plug it in. So it should only go in one way. We should hear a pretty audible click once it locks. So now we're going to go ahead and mount the converter portion here. So we have a couple different options to do this in our kit. You're going to get some double-sided tape you can use to secure it on the back. You're also going to get a self-tapping screw. So usually we'll use both methods depending on what the location it looks like we need to mount it in. But if you're only going to use one, I'm definitely going to recommend you use the self-tapping screw up here. So the number one reason these trailer wiring harnesses fail is that the converter comes loose and the wires inside will break free from the circuit board because there's so much movement around. So securing this is really the one critical step here of this installation. So you want to make sure that it's as secure as possible. So we're going to go ahead and use a self-tapping screw. We found a pretty open piece of metal here. I'm going to stick it up there like that and just drill into it. So we do have this plastic panel behind here, but our screw isn't that long, so we shouldn't have to worry about damage to that. Okay. As you can see there, we don't have any movement at all, so it's nice and secure. That'll be the perfect location there. So now we have all this extra loom. I want to go ahead and secure this. We're going to zip tie it using our included zip ties to some of the factory harness up there. I'm going to compress it as much as I can because we don't have to worry about that falling down. Even though it is going to be behind the panel here, we want to make sure it's as secure as possible. So the zip ties in your kit, they're not that long, so you may actually want to combine them together, just depending on how you choose to secure the wiring. You really shouldn't have too many issues with this. Just going to use a couple here for good measure. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take the 4-pole connector here, we're going to route it to the front of our vehicle here. So depending on your particular setup here, this particular vehicle has the factory installed hitch, and the factory installed hitch has already a 4-way bracket on here we can use, so it's great. If you don't have a factory hitch or you have a different hitch that doesn't have this factory bracket, that's no problem at all. We do sell a couple brackets that allow you to permanently mount it on the trailer hitch. 2 brackets in particular. We have a short no-drill bracket which wraps around the hitch tube, and then we have a small bracket that sort of looks like that. Now the other option, if you don't want to spend any more money, is you can actually just use the safety chain loops on the actual trailer hitch to secure the 4-way. You'll simply wrap them around and secure it with the dust cap. We can obviously clean up the wires a little bit better if we are using this method. But again, since we have the factory 4-pole, we'll go ahead and utilize that. So lucky for us, it's a pretty straight shot to that trailer connector. I'm going to come back behind the bumper here. We're actually going to have one little support here at the back. There's going to be some space underneath it. And just to help us secure the wires a little bit better, we're actually just going to run it behind there before we sneak it over the back of the bumper into that bracket. So I'll pull that the rest of the way through. And then I'm going to come over the hitch tube, just like so. We're going to come back here, make sure you have the dust cap off. Actually just push it through the back side of that. We're going to push it in. There's going to be a little indentation on the plug there that's going to line up with that keeper there to hold it in place. You can see it's pretty secure now. So once you get it pulled the rest of the way through, we can kind of see that indentation there I was talking about on the bottom of the trailer connector. And that's what sort of stops there on that tab to hold it in place. But now we'll just go ahead and place the dust cap on. So once we got that 4-pole secured, you probably will have some extra harness there. You just go ahead and zip tie to some existing points behind the bumper there. Not a big deal at all. But then to finish up our installation, we're just going to reinstall our panel. So before we wrap up our installation completely, it'd be a good idea to go ahead and check out all the circuits to make sure everything's working. We're using a simple little 4-pole plug-in tester. We do have these here available at each trailer if you'd like to purchase one. However, you could obviously use your trailer as well, assuming everything works on that side. Let's go ahead and run through the signals now. We have brakes, left turn, right turn, and then finally our tail lights. And that's going to do it today for our look and installation of the Tekonsha T-One wiring harness. here on our 2020 Hyundai Santa Fe.